Okay, right. I was going to go over camo today because I hear a lot in TeamSpeak when I'm platooning with people. People don't really know what it means from what I've heard. I'm being general because I can't remember who's been saying what all this time.
Well,
Um,
Star's not going to get an insight now because he's fucking dead.
no, it's all right. It's a lot of talking and less practice really because we're all in KV85s. So welcome to Camo 101, I suppose. So the baseline is every tank has a camo value. Some tanks have better camo values than others. For example, the tier 10 Waffenträger E100, that's got the worst camo rating in the game. Whereas tanks like the E25, don't you fucking dare. Tanks like the E25 have the third best camo rating in the game. So in case you hear me whining about a tank in game that's got, you might hear me say, oh, that tank's got fucking overpowered camo rating, blah, blah, blah. This tank is underpowered camo rating, And that all ties in with, for example, you getting shot across the map and you've got no idea what shot you. There you go. That's camo rating in action for you. Or for example, if you... Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, for instance, so when we was all sitting on that corner, 4 heavies, and you was all getting papped to shit, and I was telling you all to fall back because you can't see them, and you're getting dug by fucking T-37s and Cromwells, and God knows what else, it's because their camera rating is better than yours. They can see you, but you can't see them. Even when they're firing, you're getting the pap to fuck. All you got to do is pull back around the corner, and you've got to let them come to you. You can't dick around with them.
Yeah, I was going to go on to that. Yeah.
They're going to outview you. That's it.
So there's a couple big things that affects camo in terms of what your vehicle is doing. So you get the most amount of camo when your vehicle is stationary. That doesn't include the turret. You can move the turret as much as you like, and that doesn't reduce your camo rating in any way. The second thing that affects it is if your tank is moving. And the third thing that affects it, that's you playing your tank. I'm not getting into skills just yet, skills and modules and whatnot. The third thing that affects it is when you fire. When you fire, almost all of your camo just vanishes. That includes stacking camo from bushes and camo nets and whatnot, but we'll get into that.
Unless you're in an E25.
I think it includes bushes from 10 or 15 yards around you, so every bush you fire from is going to go invisible. It's not a bush no more, it's invisible for 15 or 10 seconds.
Yep, pretty much. So with those things, that affects the tank. Every tank is affected differently by it. So the KV-85 could sit still and you'd get the maximum amount of camo because you haven't really done anything. But for example, my little Chaffee here, this is going to have a much better camo rating when it's stationary. I'm going to get less of a penalty when I move, but you guys are going to get a massive penalty, etc., etc.
Depends on the tank.
It does depend on the tank. Ooh, don't do that. Alrighty.
You got to know generally that scouts are going to have a better scouting range than heavy tanks. You know that, don't you? Yeah. We're talking about the basics. We're talking about pure basics here. We're not talking about putting a crew in, putting modules in, and all that. We're just talking about basics, so that if you come up against a T-37, he's shooting you. You can't see him. You shouldn't just be sitting where you are trying to look for him. You need to be pulling back and trying to get into cover to bring him towards you. Yeah. That kind of shit, which everyone really, really knows. So.
Right. So things in the map that help you out. Bushes, obviously a big thing. Fallen trees were patched to give you a camo bonus as well. Trees originally, and they still do, give a camo bonus. So for example, if you're shooting down from a hill and you've got trees obscuring you, and the enemy that you're shooting at is not going to see you. Bushes give you a nice bonus. But obviously that bonus just completely disappears. As Ryan said, when you shoot, that bonus just vanishes and all the camo rating plummets. Next big thing is a camo net. It gives the biggest bonus to tank destroyers. It gives the next biggest bonus to medium and light tanks. They get about the same bonus, and then heavies and artillery get the smallest amount of camo bonus from camo nets. So it's not really a good idea to put camo nets on a heavy, even sniper tanks that stay back, like the Carnarvon, for example, KV-1S, whatever. It's probably not the best idea to put a camo net on it, especially in strongholds, where the heavies are, your DPM platforms. You're there to do damage. You're not there to hide, because you can't really hide in that KV because it's got just a shit camo rating. So next thing is the paint that you can get by clicking on the exterior in the garage. The nice paint that I'm somewhat obsessed with. Paint gives you a small bonus. Gives, again, biggest bonus to tank destroyers, next to medium and lights, and then to heavies and artillery. Nice. It's quite a small bonus. And they got flack when it was pay to win, when you couldn't buy it for credits. At least I think that's how it went. Although when they first patched in camo paint, it did absolutely fuck all. It just changed the look of your tank and it was pretty, and that's all it. But now it actually has an effect on game that is quite useful, especially when you're in a passive scout tank like this thing, for example. Next thing is the camo crew skill. It gives a bonus even when it's not 100%, although it's like a very, very tiny percentage at each percent. So each 1%, it gives a tiny bonus. Obviously, it gives the largest percent when it's 100%. Other things that affect it is perk Brothers in Arms. That boosts your camo rating of your tank. And premium consumables. So if you give your German crew chocolate, for example, the camo rating of your vehicle is going to improve. Not by much, but it does. It does have an impact. And it all stacks. Movement penalties. Tank destroyers get the biggest movement penalty, which is what, if you've played tank destroyers before, you'll probably notice that before. In a game, like you move in your tank destroyer and suddenly everyone lights you up. Are you back, are you?
Right, Pizza's here on it.
That's all right. It's recorded, so it's all good.
No, seriously, guys, take note if you don't know what he's talking about. So take note.
So yeah, tank destroyers get the biggest penalty. So you might have noticed if you move in your tank destroyer, suddenly everyone lights you up because you get the biggest penalty. Medium tanks get the next biggest penalty. Depending on the light tank might get absolutely no penalty at all from moving, or it might suffer a small penalty as large as the medium tanks, which is still quite small. We don't really know because fucking Wargaming don't include camo ratings in vehicle profiles or stats or anything like that, so it's had to have been calculated by the community. It was leaked a small while back on For the Record blog.
On that note, mate.
Yep.
If you look and you've got no XVM or any mods or anything else on your World of Tanks, when you go into battles, it will say light tanks don't suffer that penalty.
Okay, fair enough.
So, just something to take into consideration. If you look at them kind of things, these little hints and tips that can help you.
So I think that's pretty much everything in terms of what affects it. There's a lot that can affect it, and there's a lot that can stack and give you a nice big bonus. So yeah, that's pretty much what affects camo. What next? Oh yeah. So imagine your vehicle has a 50-meter bubble surrounding it. That 50-meter bubble is essentially auto spot distance. So, for example, if you're on a city map, you're going up to a corner, and then 50 meters away or less, a heavy tank is spotted around the corner. You can't see around the corner because there's a building in the way. Or, for example, like one of these buildings on this map, there could be a heavy tank behind it. You've got no idea. You suddenly approach it and stop, and then bang, heavy tank spotted on the other side. That's something that a lot of people forget. It's just that 50-meter bubble around your tank is auto spot, essentially. At the different ranges, 445 meters is a big thing in the game. 445 meters is the maximum spot distance. 500 meters is the maximum render distance. So anything outside of 500 meters, that tank is just going to go invisible. Your client won't register it at all. It won't render that tank at all. But if it's been spotted by someone else, and that tank is within 500 meters of you, you will see it, and you'll be able to shoot at it. And on the topic of ranges, you might have noticed in the past that, for example, a tank shoots at you, it's in the open, you take that hit, but you don't know where that shot comes from initially, and then a couple of seconds later he appears. That's just what happens. So the algorithm is, the longer the range, the longer he'll appear, or the longer he'll take to appear. So the maximum possible view range, he can take up to 2 seconds to appear, to pop up. It gets the distance is cumulative with time to spot. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's one more thing on that, if you don't mind me adding, bud.
Yeah, cool.
If you're in a town and there's 2 buildings between you and another enemy, you know he's there, but you can't see him and he can't see you. Apparently, now I don't know how true this is, if your viewports ain't looking around that corner and he comes around that corner, you won't spot him. So you got to make sure your viewports, which are probably on the top of your turret or wherever they are, on that certain tank, this is going really into it, but just something to think about. If he comes around the corner and shoots you, and you're wondering why you can't shoot him, it's generally because you can't see him. Your viewport's not sticking out to spot him.
Yeah, I can go into viewports actually. It won't take long. So your tank has certain viewports. It sounds like that's just my commander's cupola or my driver's hatch or whatever like that, but it's not. It's mapped to certain points of your vehicle. So that's imagine about halfway up your vehicle and a little bit out towards away from your tank. So that's on the left side, the right side, the front of your hull, the rear of your hull, and the top of your turret. That's where all the viewports are. Your cannon, your gun barrel, that has no effect. That doesn't have any viewports on it at all. So when you're hiding in a bush, you've got to make sure every single part of your tank is hidden. Otherwise, you're going to be spotted. You can check that quite easily by using right mouse to look around your tank without turning your turret. For example, if I hide in this bush here, I'm not going to go all the way into the bush. I'm going to put most of the bush in between me and where I think the enemy is. I'm going to use right mouse to turn around. And if I see that sort of hologram, that outline of my tank, and I can't see any part of my tank whatsoever, that's me fully concealed. I'm getting the full benefit of this bush. Because if one of these viewports is on the tank, one of these invisible viewports is sticking out from the bush like it is now, like I'm all the way in the bush, I'm probably going to get spotted because that viewport is sticking out forwards and is going to be spotted by another scout or, someone in general. That's really, really getting into it now, but that might explain why you're going around a corner and, only the rear of an enemy tank is visible. You might think, oh, no, that doesn't really make any sense. His commander's cupola, his commander's hatch can't really see him. That's where I think all the spotting's done. It doesn't work like that in water tanks. As I said, the different viewports around your vehicle dictate when you're going to be spotted. That's pretty much it. I could go even further into, how long it takes to be spotted and whatnot, the different ranges, but it's, the rule of thumb is the further away they are, the longer it'll take to spot. That's pretty much it for camo in the game. Was that useful for everyone, just out of interest?
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much. Helps me, what you just said about the bushes helping.
Yeah.
I generally plunk myself in the bush.
Oh, have you already mentioned that? I was about to say.
Yeah. There's a really, really fucking nasty trick that some of the unicums use, or some really, really good players use. So 15 meters is the range for a bush to apply camouflage to your tank. Outside of that, it acts as obscuring terrain, almost. So for example, I can still see through this bush ahead of me, I can still see through it, I can still see through it. and I can't anymore. If this bush was taller, obviously, and it was covering all of my tank, it would have a bonus. Well, I wouldn't have a bonus here, but what I would be able to do is if I were able to see an enemy tank, an enemy tank's outline, I could shoot him, but because I'm not using this bush to give me a bonus to my camouflage, this bush doesn't go invisible. It still acts as just this obscuring little thing. He won't spot me immediately. That's a really nasty trick. We can probably practice that, actually. If I go up on this hill...
I can give you guys a really good example how that works. If you're sitting in the bush and you zoom in and you're looking at a target and you can see everything, you can see his outline, you can see his tank, you can see everything. You can see through the bush isn't covering you. If you
you're
pull
too
back,
close. You're too close.
Yeah, you've got to pull back so that when you do zoom in, all you can see is bush. Yeah, then that bush should be covering you.
All you get is the
back.
outline, then, don't you? You get the red
Yeah,
outline.
you can't see anything. All you can see is his little logo above his tank, which is like a little triangle, sends a TD down there, and you've got to feather your mouse over until you can see his outline. And all you can see then is the bush and the outline of the tank, but you've got to make sure you can see that bush through your zoom in.
Sweet, yeah, okay.
Okay, do you guys spot me right now?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to start papping one of you, but you're all on fucking low health because you've been shooting each other all this
I was
time.
going to say, do you want to start that one again?
No, we've got Murphs here. Thanks for volunteering.
Alright.
Turn your tank, Murph. Turn your tank, mate. Front on.
Just a thing. Just a side note. You and an enemy tank, you stop seeing each other at the exact same time. So if you see a scout, and he only sees you, and then he runs away, and then, he disappears because he's not spotted anymore, you and him disappear from each other's screens at the exact same time. So I think that's
Would that
pretty
work
major
for
point
that?
to raise.
Would that be for his team as well? When he despots you and he despawns off of your screen, are you then despotted from the rest of the team, I'm assuming?
No, that's only if he alone has spotted you. You're still going to
Okay.
appear for every single one else. So
So
that's
you got to look at your map and see if he's the front runner or not.
right then. The rest of you are spotted. I'm going to start shooting you, Cromwell. Oh, this bush is really fucking bad, actually.
I'm glad you said that, Murph, mate. Wes, because I was trying to make this point a little while ago, and everyone was going, "No, it don't fucking work like that." And I said, "It fucking does." It's like if you're the last two people on a map and you're going around like a couple of buildings, and you can't see him no more, he can't see you no more. That's the end of it. So you keep going the same. Well, it doesn't matter.
So
See,
I've been shooting the Cromwell,
can't see him.
and I haven't been spotted yet.
No, I can't see you, and I don't think the Cromwell can because I can't see you. So
Alrighty, I'm going to come out. You'll see where I'm coming from.
there he is.
Don't shoot me. So that's the thing where I demonstrated before, or where I tried to demonstrate before. So if I don't go all the way into the bush, and I start shooting you, I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to be suddenly visible. That bush is going to obscure me. So if I go and if I demonstrate it from your guys' perspective, where you can actually see it. Right, so there's a nice orange bush to my left. I can still see through this. I'm within 15 meters. If I fire, this bush goes invisible, according to the server. Then I'm going to be lit up to shit. If I go backwards, there we go. It's completely visible to me now. I can't see through that bush. But if it completely obscures my tank and I shoot at something beyond it, bearing in mind that nothing else is spotting me, I'm still going to be invisible to him. He won't spot me at all because this bush is still in the way, or this building or whatever is still in the way. So that's a nasty little tactic I learned from watching a replay a small while ago.
And the way he's telling that is through his zoom. If he's zooming in and he's looking actually through the bush, he's obscured because he's got to look through the bush. If you look through the bush and it's not there, it's not going to protect you. So you've got to look through the bush so that you can actually see the bush, and then it will protect you. In your zoom mode, but by the way.
So that's how I was shooting the Cromwell without you guys spotting me. If I was doing it regularly by shooting, if I was close to a bush like this, if I was shooting that Cromwell, the bush would disappear, he would spot me. But because I put the bush in between me and him, like a piece of terrain, He didn't spot me at all. That's it in a nutshell. Is that
Yeah.
tactic useful for anyone?
Yeah.
That's pretty
Where'd
much. Oh, sorry, go on.
Chris, mate?
Give him just 15
He's
seconds.
burping. We're just trying to give Wes his due here, and everyone. I hope you learned something from this tutorial.
Yeah,
I suppose.
cheers, Wes.
So
Yeah, no worries. I hope it helps. Just lots of things to keep in mind.
yeah. But before
I
you all
did as a
fuck off
joke.
and run away, we've got one more to do.